Biomechanics in sport incorporates a detailed analysis of sport movements in order to minimise the risk of injury and improve sports performance. Through comparison of NBA star Klay Thompson, who has shot 41% from three through his career, and my individual performance, the biomechanical principles in a basketball three-point jump shot were analysed. The motor program was broken up to three phases: the preparation phase, the release phase, and the follow-through phase. Looking at the analysis of Klay Thompson's jump shot, he firstly starts in the preparation phase, with gathering possession of the ball, shooter's stance, and planting his feet directly in line with the basket. Looking through a biomechanical lens, he plants his foot in a well-balanced, stable stance, loading up his legs ready to take off. Base of support is beneath the play, incorporating every point of contact made along the supporting surface with the whole body. Centre of gravity to remain within the base of support, which is why having a wider base of support is vital in executing a basketball jump shot, which is observed as Klay Thompson's feet are placed shoulder width apart and his shooting foot slightly planted in front of his other foot. This creates a larger base of support, which also gives him greater stability, while also more angular motion when he rises into his shot. A stable equilibrium is now achieved, ready to execute the shot as he places the ball in his shot pocket, which is right over his head, which increases the height of release with both elbows slightly bent. In order for motion to occur in relevance of Klay Thompson's jump shot, an unbalanced force and isotonic force is applied by his knee and elbow extensions and flexion of the hips, shoulders, wrists, and ankles. His agonist and antagonist muscles therefore lengthen and shorten simultaneously, following the body's selective recruitment of a specific number of muscle fibers, creating the optimal level of force to execute the skill successfully. Sequential force summation is the combination of forces produced by different body parts, with all acting sequentially in practice, with strongest muscles and larger body parts around the centre of gravity activate first, followed by the lighter and faster muscles, occurring when each body part has passed the optimal amount of momentum to the other. Identified in Klay Thompson's execution of the shot, ground force application is first to occur during momentum, which is transferred back up through the body, as Newton's third law states that for every action there is equal and opposite reaction. Optimal timing is vital, with the momentum being transferred through segments of a kinetic chain following the ankles, through the knees, hips, shoulders, elbows, then wrist, finishing off with the fingers, with the torso helping to stabilise the body. This allows the ball to gain optimal force production and momentum through perfect timing of the movements. At the release phase, the ball will stay at rest until Thompson applies the necessary force for the ball to move towards the ring. Impulse is important through the phase, which is shown through the change of momentum at the moment of release, also known as the transfer of force into the release of a projectile. When the unbalanced force is generated through the kinetic chain is transferred into the ball, it is shown by the acceleration. This is shown in Newton's second law that acceleration times mass equals force. A lever is a rigid body capable of rotating on a point on itself. In a basketball jump shot, it is the arm of the preferred shooting arm, in this case Klay Thompson's right arm. Thompson uses a third-class lever within his basketball shot, with the example being his wrist being the fulcrum, his effort being the muscles in his wrist, and the load being the basketball. The longer the lever, the smaller the distance required to travel. Thompson using his long arms to his advantage as he maximises the length of his levers to therefore using less force, giving him more control over the ball. Projectile motion is the motion of an object thrown or projected into the air. Once the ball leaves Thompson's hands, the ball becomes a projectile only affected by air resistance and gravity. Projectile follows a predetermined parabolic path towards the basket, following the trajectory which the player has applied with the force and momentum created. As the ball travels upward, the force of gravity influences the path of the ball. When the ball reaches peak of height, the basketball accelerates as gravity pulls it downward into the ring. As the ball travels, air resistance decelerates the ball, decreasing the horizontal component. A blunting effect occurs which creates a drag force, slowing the ball's velocity. The larger surface area to volume ratio, the more air resistance will affect the object. Backspin is created from the ball and wrists as it is exposed to different air pressure when the ball is spinning following the predetermined parabolic path, enabling air to directly rotate around it. The backspin contributes to the lift as the top of the ball is an area of lower pressure, which therefore lifts the ball falling at a shallower angle than opposed to the top spin. Lift from its flight and vertical distance, the ball increasing the size of the target area, When Thompson shoots the ball, Hart gained vertical distance by releasing the ball at its highest point, means the ball has less distance to travel to the hoop, which reduces the amount of force that needed to be applied to execute the skill, therefore increasing the accuracy. Shooting angle is above 45 degrees as the target is above the point of release, means that you're aiming to achieve vertical distance by gaining vertical distance. This is shown with Klay Thompson have a release angle of 60, which increases the size of the target. The ball was decelerating until it reaches the vertex as it starts to accelerate downwards due to gravity, passing the ball through the hoop. Speed of release impacts Klay Thompson's accuracy and is linked to the optimal level of force created during a basketball jump shot. The speed of release is increased the further you are away from the ring, as greater force is needed to get the ball into the ring. In this shot, Thompson shoots the ball at a high velocity as he is at the three-point line, needing to get a greater horizontal distance. This would change if he was shooting a free throw, as a vertical component has nearly all the emphasis. Thompson also needs a high velocity at release as he has little time to shoot in game due to the defense. This is another reason why he shoots with such a high release height, as he needs to shoot over closing out defense. Looking at the analysis of my basketball jump shot and Klay Thompson's, there are several biomechanical principles that differentiate. These factors lead to the effects of velocity enabled for increased performance. My base of support in my basketball jump shot is nearly perfect as I keep my centre of gravity close to the ground and keep my feet around shoulder width apart. But in my stance is slightly facing to the left. As I catch the ball, my feet should be straight. As I shoot, my right knee slightly hitches inward, which causes me to lose momentum as it decreases the size of my base of support, which limits my ability to remain stable as I transfer the momentum generated from my legs into the shooting action. My centre of mass shifts slightly forward and to the left as I shoot, opposed to Klay Thompson, who is fluent and straight with his release as he lands in the same position where he takes off from. Thompson and I are similar in how we both plant and push against the ground with our right foot. As Newton's third law states, with every action there is equal and opposite reaction. This let Klay Thompson and I push off the ground and generate momentum through our body while also being the first phase of sequential force summation. As Klay Thompson catches the ball, he is already up on his toes and his calves and glutes loaded up, while I catch the ball flat-footed, which leads me to lose some momentum I gained when I push against the ground, which leads me to be more reliant on my arms to generate momentum. When I shoot, I release the ball at an angle of 55 degrees, where Klay Thompson shoots an angle of 6 degrees. This means I rely on horizontal distance. This leads my jump shot needing to be nearly perfect, as a higher angle leads the jump shot to having more room for error. As the ring becomes bigger, the higher the angle. As the shallower the angle, the less room there is for the ball to pass through the rim. Thompson also shoots with a higher release point as he is 2 inches taller and jumps higher. This allows him to gain more vertical distance, which means the ball has less distance to travel. As I do not gain as much vertical distance, this means I have to generate more force through my arms to make up for the lost momentum in my legs. This decreases the accuracy of my jump shot because the more muscle groups, the more force I'm applying to my shooting motion, as more complicated movements decrease accuracy. The kinetic chain should be straight parallel lines so that the momentum generated goes straight up through the body, showing Klay Thompson's jump shot. However, my elbow is slightly hitches out to the side. The force generated from my arm isn't traveling directly into the ball, directly into the direction of travel I'm trying to achieve. It's slightly pushing out to the side, impacting accuracy as well as compensating for the lost momentum. I'm having to generate more force in my arm. Thompson and I both release the ball right before the apex, which is effective in achieving optimal force, as we both have control over the ball as we flick our wrists to achieve creating backspin, which promotes lift.